Bhansali's controversial movie Padmaavat released across the country today. Reports indicate that there has been 50 to 60% occupancy in theatres which have chosen to show the movie. Reviews claim the movie is dedicated to the valor of Rajputs. This is ironic because groups claiming to represent Rajputs have been on a rampage over the last few days. One group has announced a reward for maiming the lead actor in the movie, Biocon. Yesterday, school children in a bus in Gurugram were surrounded and had to hide under their seats because of protests. Moviegoers are being protected by the police. The key question is, why has this situation come to this stage? And what does it say about the state of law and order in our country? What does it say about ease of doing business in India? Can we truly project ourselves as an attractive investment destination the world over when goons are allowed to run amok? To speak on this, I'm joined now by Chairman and Managing Director of Biocon, Kiran Mazumdar. Thank you so much, Ms. Shaw, for speaking with us on Bloomberg Quint this evening and on this subject, very importantly, because we need to take the conversation beyond which party did what and why these people have a problem with a movie. What are your comments on what is going on right now?
Well, it's obvious that rumors, misunderstandings and misperceptions have led to this very ugly situation. And we know very clearly that fringe elements have taken advantage of it and have really stirred things up. It's most unfortunate. I think a lot of lawlessness has emerged in many parts of our country. And I think the Supreme Court has definitely tried to enforce a law in the country which needs to be adhered to. And I only hope that, in the next few days we will see this huge ugly scenes that we are seeing in the last few days, disappear as people see the film, as comments come out about the reviews. I'm sure it is going to finally just, disappear.
Well, perhaps until the next movie or until another situation, possibly quote-unquote hurts the sentiments of another section of people. Is it really about this movie, Ms. Shaw, or what is in this movie, or whether it's a good movie or a bad movie? Isn't the question today on whether state governments can uphold the law or choose to uphold the law?
Well, I think, it is about, people expressing viewpoints and not being able to basically have a rational discussion around what their views are. I mean, if you don't allow various expressions of film and theatre with some artistic license, I think, it's not a very good situation. So I think there needs to be a discourse on this particular subject. I think the country definitely needs to allow movies and theatre to function with at a certain level of liberal views. And I, for one, just believe that, we should not allow this kind of, high-handedness of any group or any viewpoint.
I want you to tell me your view in the context of what happened in Gurugram yesterday, where a bus full of school children was attacked. There are videos doing the rounds about it. People have been arrested in connection with this incident now. This is an area which has a large number of MNCs, BPOs functioning. A lot of global companies have their headquarters as well over here. What kind of an impression does it put out of India and spots like this when we're trying to invite more investment into our country?
Well, these are incidents which are about, politicizing and renting mobs. I don't even think those people even knew why they were attacking any vehicle for that matter. And these kind of stray incidents do happen. I don't think, it's going to have a huge impact on, the companies operating in Gurugram. But certainly I think the government needs to make sure that there is law and order enforced all the time. I think that's what it's about. And I think every state government has to ensure the safety of its citizens. And this is where it is, where there is an urgent need to make sure that law is enforced.
There are a lot of people who, and of course, there's so much commentary and opinions on what is happening right now from every side of, the debate. But there are a lot of people who are also commenting and contrasting India's big pitch in Davos right now with what is happening on the streets in several parts of the country or in some major states. Do you think that that is an apt or fair contrast?
Well, these days, if you see all over the world, we are seeing ugly incidents, whether it is incidents of racism, whether it is incidents of fringe groups, such as what we are seeing in India. We are seeing a lot of these kind of very, very ugly incidents across the world. I think, it doesn't really basically, impact day-to-day business, but I think it's very important that countries need to create the ambience of safety for various people and its stakeholders operating in its system. I think that's where it all begins. I think if you look at what's happening even in the US or any other part of the world, there are these kind of horrible, ugly incidents. I mean, the whole Gurugram incident with the school children was shocking. And this is not something that we should tolerate in our society. So I think it's about law enforcement. Again, I come back to the role of the state and the state governments to ensure safety and law and order.
Sure, absolutely. And how much does that feed into ease of doing business? Because, India has improved its ranking on the ease of doing business. We've all celebrated it. Does that ease of doing business perhaps keep the filmmaking and the movie exhibition business out of its ambit now?
I don't think we should take such harsh, views of the matter. I do believe we need to, mature into a much better society. This can only happen, again, I go back to my earlier statement, when the state governments focus on safety and law and order. And as far as ease of doing business is concerned, it has to do with other regulatory matters.
Yes.
And there I do believe that there are a number of regulatory steps that have been taken which are making, business much easier to go about in this country, because I know that the government officers themselves are very, very helpful in resolving many issues that may come in the way of doing business in a smooth way. So I, for one, believe that this is not going to come in the way of business as such, because business is about investment, business is about markets, business is about large opportunities. And if India can really get that together, I don't think this is going to come in the way. But equally, I think we can't allow it to suddenly keep increasing. I think this is the time to nip it in the bud.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. Time to nip it in the bud, says Ms. Shaw, and perhaps that process should have started when the first stone was pelted on the sets of what was then called Padmaavati.